Well, welcome along to the Timeform Sporting Life weekend preview. Dave Ord, joined by Andy McLaren and Matt Brocklebank for a fantastic weekend of action at Cheltenham. This is a Saturday preview, the feature race on Saturday, the Paddy Power Gold Cup. And let's start, as ever, with the Timeform ratings. Unexpected party, Andy, top of the shop, but this is, as you would expect, a tight contest.
Yeah, it's a proper race, isn't it, Dave? We've got Grade 1 winning novice chasers from last season at the head of the weights in Stage Star and the Real Whacker. Unexposed chasers towards the bottom of the weights, like Unexpected Party for Dan Skelton. You can see he comes on top on the Timeform ratings there. And then we've got some real course specialists in Fugitive and Il Ridotto, regulars in these big handicaps around Cheltenham as well. It really does look a proper race, this.
Matt, the only thing that's slightly different, a slightly smaller field size, it has been the case in some years, but there's not much missing when you start going down the list.
No, not at all. I don't think you could be picking out horses that are missing this race. You've got to full credit, as Andy says, to the connections of those at the top. You know, you could easily be persuaded to go to sort of smaller races, intermediate races.
Graduation, yeah.
They're the races. But this race, this is the one where you find out how good your second season chaser is. And yeah, like I say, full credit to Pat Neville. Obviously, Paul Nicholls has targeted it with the Stage Star, but there are plenty in there as well with a chance.
You mentioned these two top novices from last year, Andy. Let's start with Stage Star. In winning action at the Cheltenham Festival, also won the Timeform Novice Handicap Chase too. He just kept progressing last season.
Yeah, this race here, it could be a really key piece of form with Stage Star, who ends up winning it, and not long till May as well. I think he's a really big player on Saturday.
Stage Star on the right in the black cap.
Yeah, the thing I really like about Stage Star is these two wins he's had at Cheltenham. He's made the run on both occasions, but it's not like he was all out at the finish. He really powers up the hill on both occasions. You can see here, I don't know if it was just a camera angle, but I think not long till May actually headed him at one point and got past, but he really does finish his race off well. And I think connections of Stage Star, Harry Cobden and Paul Nicholls, will probably be quite pleased to see the Real Whacker in here for a couple of reasons. One, I think the Whacker is the Whacker, as connections like to say, and he's just got his own way of doing things. He'll be out in front making the run-in. I think they'll be quite happy to take a lead off him and just sit in second. And it also means that Stage Star gets quite a nice racing weight off 11 stone 7.
Matt, let's talk the Real Whacker now. This is him winning the Brown Advisory at Cheltenham last season. It's the latest video clue. The horse closing down Jerry Colomb. This looks strong form. Yeah,
it's really good form, and it's generally a really good race. And for him to come out and beat the Irish horses in this Grade 1 at the Cheltenham Festival was a massive effort.
He's in the red cap, isn't he, with the sheepskin
noseband, yeah. And what you know, absolutely know, as Andy's alluded to, is that Sam Twiston-Davies, who rides this horse, will be throwing the Real Whacker at every fence. He will jump from fence to fence and say, come and get me now. The slight issue I have with him, and it's a similar one that I have with Stage Star as well, is that they're running this weekend on the old course at Cheltenham. Now, Stage Star is 2 from 2 on the new course. He actually pulled up on his only previous start on the old course. And the Real Whacker, he claimed his certainly his most high-profile victories on the new course as well, like he did there at the festival in March. Whereas this time last year, he actually just scrambled home from a Gordon Elliott horse called Indigo Breeze in the 3-mile novices chase at this meeting, and that was on the old course. So I do think the other course, the more galloping nature of that track, suits the Real Whacker a little better. And what we have in here are a few horses in against them that they're quite sort of keen-going horses, and they have form over 2 miles as well. So perhaps, if you are looking to level something against these horses at the top of the weights and towards the top of the betting, is that will they have the natural pace to get the job done around 2 mile 4 furlongs on the old track, which is a sharp enough test.
Towards the right of the Timeform pace map we're about to look at as well, Andy, the two obvious pace angles in the race. You're thinking it's going to be the Real Whacker leading Stage Star, is how you see it?
Yeah, I think Harry Cobden will be quite happy to let Sam Twiston-Davies and the Real Whacker go off and do the thing in front, and he'll be sat just off him. And then there's plenty of others who like to go forward as well. Not long till May, he won't be far away. The one thing you can be sure of on Saturday is it's going to be a real hell for leather pace. But at the same time, I think you do want to be up there and involved around this track at Cheltenham.
Yeah, history shows you want to be up with the gallop. It's a fantastic race in prospect. Now, Andy touched upon when we went through the ratings, Matt, a couple of the more seasoned gunslingers, and they're hardly exposed. It's Il Ridotto and Fugitive. This is our final video clue. Got them in action at Cheltenham last season. Il Ridotto, blue cap, Fugitive alongside. They go out to fight the finish. Il Ridotto comes out on top and is better off on the way in the weight on Saturday because the form got reversed when they ran at the festival in March.
They did. This was a cracking effort from Il Ridotto, who had been promising to produce something like this. He'd run really well in the Paddy Power itself, a good edition of that, won by Garlaw earlier in the season. This effort possibly just took the shine off him going into the festival, to be honest, because he wasn't quite so good, as you said, at Cheltenham in March. He was, he was getting £5 this day. He's now getting £9, plus Freddie Gingel's claim as well. He's able to claim £5 on Saturday, and Freddie's obviously riding with a huge amount of confidence after winning the Holden Gold Cup. I quite like Il Ridotto of the pair of them. I do think, whereas early on last season I was thinking he might want more of a stamina test, he actually showed a bit more pace than I thought that day, than he had previously. He'd probably be my second pick in the race, not my top choice as it stands.
Nearly spoiler alert, thanks. It's time for that top choice. I'll let you go first then, Matt. Il Ridotto to finish second to...
Yeah, Il Ridotto to finish second. My money's on Angel's Breath, Dave. He's a horse that I've sort of had in mind for this race. Well, since this time last year, if you dig out sort of news clippings from this horse, because he did spend a lot of time on the sidelines through a long-term tendon injury. But if you go back to last year, Sam Thomas was hoping to run him in the Paddy Power Gold Cup. It didn't quite happen. He had another minor injury setback. So it means he didn't actually reappear until the new year. He ran at January. He was well held at Kempton that day. But they've gradually brought him back to the boil, and they've had to show a huge amount of patience with this horse, obviously owned by Di Walters and Ronnie Bartlett, and Sam Thomas has got him now, formerly with Nicky Henderson. This is a horse that has, you know, we're talking about the real Wacker and Stage Star as being potential Gold Cup horses. Sam Thomas entered this horse in the Gold Cup and the Ryanair earlier this year, and if you go back far enough, he was sort of 6-1 for a Sky Bet Supreme. He'd made a really good start to the season as a novice chaser for Nicky Henderson, winning a Grade 2 at Ascot, and it was, you know, he was short for the Arkle and horses like that. So we're talking about a horse that did once have Grade 1 potential. He doesn't have that anymore, but he's been given a chance by the handicapper, and I thought the comeback run over hurdles was a fantastic effort. It was the first time he'd actually been in like a strongly run handicap, and he absolutely loved it. In his youth, he was always a really free-going, keen-going sort, and I think the handicap situation on the weekend with those front runners really setting it up for a horse like him, I think it's going to really play into his hands. He does have to run off a slightly higher mark now, back over fences, and he's up in grade from the handicap hurdle last time, but a mark of 144, I think it's exploitable for this horse, and Sam Thomas has already proven himself to be a seriously adept target trainer, so loads to like about Angel's Breath.
Good trainer, isn't he, Sam Thomas? Andy, where does your vote go? Paddy Power Gold Cup.
I do really like Stage Star. I think he's got a lot in his favour here, and you just know Paul Nicholls is going to have him trained to the absolute minute for this. But I'm going to stick with that Turner's Chase form from the festival, and I'm going to go with Not Long Till May. He came second there at Stage Star. He's got a slight pull at the weight, and I just think they switched to the old course, which puts a bit more emphasis on speed rather than stamina, will be in his favour. And he's had a prep run over 2 miles here at Cheltenham, which I think could just have him spot on for this.
You check out Get Stuck In as well. Oliver Morgan, one of the guests on this week's show, available on our Sporting Life YouTube channel. Talking of which, our fantastic new series, Taking the Reins, continues on Sunday. Episode 3 is Sean Levy. Now, people who've worked closely on this project tell me this is the best episode of the entire series. The first 2 haven't been bad at all, have they? So don't forget to check that out at 6 p.m. on Sunday. Sean Levy, who was the latest one in episode 3 of our new series, Taking the Reins. And here's a little sneak preview what you can expect from the show.
Fractured my leg. And the next one was a certainty, the next horse, right? My father come in and he goes, do you want me to bandage that up or he can get on this next one? I ended up spending a sum in Ballygoyle. Best thing I ever done.
Billowston in front. She's going to win the Kipco 1,000 guineas with Sean Levy.
We had a hippo come up to our gaff once, so Dad, there's a hippo at the front door, like. Call the gearbacks.
What a finish! A race for the ages, and Snow Lantern got there.
First emotion was like, fuck yeah.
There we are. That does look a fantastic episode. Can't wait to see that myself. At 6 p.m. on Sunday, it premieres. Best bet time, another best bet from Saturday. Andy, you can go first with this one.
I'm going to go for T-Clipper in the 1:10, the 3 mile, 1 furlong handicap chase for amateur jockeys. Now, this horse, he's one of these that's been the beneficiary of some very generous handicapping from the BHA handicapper recently. Just this year, at the festival, he came 6th in that Red Hot Ultima, won by the Grand National winner, Corach Rambler, and Fast or Slow, who obviously went on to beat Brave Man's Game. and Galopin de Champs, he was in second. He came sixth there off a mark of 147, and he's racing off 136 on Saturday, which looks very generous. And he's got Mr. William Biddick in the saddle, who, multiple champion point-to-point rider, is no bad thing having him in the saddle in this type of race.
That is a horse I followed off a cliff tree. I backed him in that Ultima, and I'll be backing him again now. I'll be back in on Saturday for Tea-Clip. And Matt, what are you putting up?
Well, on the subject of cliff horses, Dave, I'm with Come On Teddy in the 255. Now, this is a handicap hurdle involving a fair few sort of old rogues and old names that are potentially well handicapped over hurdles now. The likes of Chantry House obviously made his name initially as a chaser. Chamblou's in there as well. You've got Real Steel, a horse that was with Paul Nicholls and Willie Mullins earlier in his career. They all appeal to some degree. I like Come On Teddy. He's a big price here. He's won over the course and distance here. He goes well fresh. He handles soft ground, and I think he's been given a really good chance by the handicapper. It's 600 odd days since we've seen him, but I can't imagine they'll have left a lot to work on. He's well treated. He runs off 132 here. He won a novice handicap chase off 137 a couple of Decembers ago. So yeah, Come On Teddy to strike on his long-awaited seasonal reappearance.
Well, there you go. They're the thoughts of Matt and Andy on a fantastic card at Cheltenham on Saturday. And please head back to our YouTube channel to check out the preview too for Sunday's action, where the feature race is the Great Wood Hurdle.